Listen. Practice. Speak. Practice makes you perfect.
Expert speaker, are you ready to decode some serious business jargon?
Absolutely. Idioms are kind of like the secret handshake of the business world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they can really make or break a deal depending on how you use them.
Okay, so let's try and imagine this. You're a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed entrepreneur launching a new tech startup, and your first challenge is
Oh, yeah.
getting your foot in the door with potential investors.
The getting your foot in the door is really all about securing that initial opportunity.
Yeah.
It might be a small investment or a pilot program,
Right.
or even just a meeting with a key decision maker.
Right.
But it's that crucial first step that can lead to bigger things.
So it's not about like scoring the big win right away. It's about creating a pathway, right? For future growth.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating your potential
Yeah.
and building relationships
Yeah.
and proving that you're someone worth investing in.
Now, once you've got those meetings lined up, it's time to
Yeah.
get the ball rolling on your pitch.
This is where you need to showcase that, entrepreneurial hustle.
Right.
Procrastination is not an option in the fast-paced world of startups. You need to hit the ground running.
Hit the ground running. It makes me think of like a sprinter bursting out of the starting blocks. Is it all about speed or is there more to it?
Speed is definitely a factor, but it's more about preparedness and momentum.
Okay.
Think of it like this,
Yeah.
You've assembled your dream team.
Yeah.
You've got a killer product, and you're ready to knock those investor pitches out of the park.
So it's not just about like individual brilliance, right? It's about that collective energy and focus.
Precisely.
Yeah.
A well-prepared team with a clear vision
Right.
and a sense of urgency. That's what is much more likely to succeed.
And of course, none of this happens overnight. You've got to learn the ropes of the startup world.
Every successful entrepreneur starts somewhere. Learning the ropes is that ongoing process of acquiring the knowledge, skills, and connections you need to thrive.
I imagine there are a lot of like late nights reading industry reports, networking at events, and basically absorbing everything like a sponge.
It's a steep learning curve,
Yeah.
but that's where mentorship comes in.
Yeah.
Finding experienced entrepreneurs who can guide you is invaluable.
Yeah.
They've already navigated the challenges you're facing and can offer insights that textbooks can't teach you.
It's like having a seasoned Sherpa guiding you through the treacherous but exhilarating landscape of the startup world.
Exactly. Speaking of treacherous landscapes, let's talk about decision-making.
Oh, yeah.
When you're at the helm of a startup, you're often in the driver's seat.
It's that feeling of control and responsibility, right? Steering the company towards its goals, making those tough calls that can make or break the business.
But being in the driver's seat doesn't mean you have to go it alone, right? Building a strong team means delegating tasks and trusting others to contribute their expertise.
So it's about striking that balance between leading the charge
Yeah.
and empowering your team.
Absolutely. And sometimes you're faced with unexpected challenges that require you to think on your feet.
That's when those late-night brainstorming sessions and quick pivots come in handy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to be adaptable, resourceful,
Right.
and able to make decisions under pressure.
It's like that moment when an investor throws you like a curveball question,
Oh, yeah.
and you've got to come up with a brilliant answer on the spot.
That's the thrill of the startup world. You're constantly learning, adapting, and pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone.
And speaking of comfort zones, sometimes you need to step outside of them and think outside the box.
That's where true innovation comes from. Challenging the status quo, questioning assumptions, and coming up with those game-changing ideas that disrupt the market.
It's about looking at problems from a fresh perspective and seeing opportunities where others see obstacles.
Precisely. And when you have that breakthrough idea,
It's time to take the bull by the horns and make it happen.
that takes guts, determination,
Yeah,
and a willingness to take risks.
absolutely. But calculated risks, of course.
Of course.
You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Diversifying your strategies and resources is key.
So it's about being bold, but also being strategic.
Exactly. You need to have a clear vision,
Yeah.
but also be flexible enough to adapt to changing circumstances.
Okay, we've talked about getting started, making decisions, and being adaptable. Now let's shift gears and talk about communication.
Sure.
In the business world, effective communication is crucial.
Yeah.
And that's where idioms like touch base come in.
Touching base is all about maintaining those vital connections.
Right.
It could be a quick email, a phone call,
Yeah.
or even a casual coffee chat. But it's about staying in the loop and ensuring everyone is on the same page.
I've noticed that some people are great at touching base, while others kind of seem to disappear for weeks. Is there a right or wrong way to do it? It really depends on the context and the relationship. But generally speaking, it's about finding that sweet spot between being proactive and respectful of everyone's time.
Yeah.
You don't want to bombard people with unnecessary updates, but you also don't want to leave them in the dark.
So it's about finding that balance between staying connected and respecting boundaries.
Exactly. And when it comes to important decisions or agreements, you want to make sure everyone is on the same page, literally.
This is where like clear communication and transparency are paramount, right?
Absolutely. Misunderstandings can be costly, so it's crucial to clarify expectations, define roles, and ensure that everyone is aligned on the goals and strategies.
I imagine this is especially important when dealing with contracts and legal documents.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
One misplaced comma can make all the difference, so it's essential to have everything spelled out clearly and concisely.
And sometimes you just need to cut to the chase and get straight to the point.
Especially in those high-pressure situations where time is of the essence, cutting to the chase is about being direct and eliminating unnecessary fluff.
It's like that tense negotiation where both parties are eager to reach an agreement. You don't want to waste time with small talk. You need to address the key issues and find a solution.
Exactly. And when you're working with a team that's on the same wavelength,
Oh, yeah.
everything just flows smoothly.
It's that feeling of synergy where everyone is in sync, anticipating each other's thoughts and working towards a common goal.
It's like a well-oiled machine where all the parts are working together seamlessly.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in terms of starting a business, making decisions, communicating effectively. Now let's talk about success and challenges, because every entrepreneur faces both.
Absolutely. And one of the most satisfying outcomes in business is achieving a win-win situation.
It's that feeling of mutual benefit,
Yeah,
where everyone walks away from a deal feeling like they've gained something valuable.
exactly. It's about finding solutions that create value for all parties involved, whether it's negotiation, a partnership, or even just a simple transaction.
But sometimes you're faced with the challenge of following in someone's footsteps.
Oh, yeah.
And that can be a tough act to follow.
Especially if that person set a high bar.
Right.
It can be intimidating, but it can also be a source of motivation.
It's like being the opening act for like a legendary band.
Yeah.
You know, you have to bring your A game to even stand a chance.
But it can also push you to exceed your own expectations
Right.
and achieve something truly remarkable.
And of course, there are those inevitable moments when you hit a snag.
Every business faces unexpected challenges, right?
Yeah, right.
Whether it's a production delay, a supply chain disruption, or a sudden shift in the market.
It's those moments when you have to be adaptable,
Yeah.
resourceful, and maybe even a little bit MacGyver-like.
Exactly. You need to troubleshoot, find workarounds,
Right.
and sometimes even completely rethink your approach.
And after all the hard work and potential snags,
Right.
there's nothing quite like the thrill of closing the deal.
It's that moment of triumph when all the pieces fall into place
Yeah.
and you secure that contract, partnership, or investment.
It's the culmination of all your efforts and the validation of your hard work.
Exactly. And it often marks the beginning of a new chapter,
Yeah.
filled with even greater opportunities and challenges.
Okay, we're on a roll here, but I think we need to take a breather and come back for part 2 of our deep dive into business English idioms.
Sounds like a plan. We've only just scratched the surface of this fascinating topic. There's a whole world of business jargon waiting to be decoded. Okay, so, we left off talking about those kind of, celebrations, right? Closing the deal, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But, even after you've kind of reached those initial milestones, the competition in the business world is fierce, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So one idiom that really captures this idea of kind of stepping up your game is raise the bar.
Oh, I've definitely heard that one thrown around.
Yep.
What does it really mean in a business context?
Well, it's about setting a new standard of excellence, pushing beyond the status quo and not settling for mediocrity.
So it's not just about like meeting expectations, it's about exceeding them.
Exactly. It's about setting ambitious goals,
Right.
inspiring your team to reach new heights and constantly striving for improvement.
I can see our, hypothetical CEO giving a pep talk to their team like, we're not just going to meet expectations, we're going to blow them out of the water.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And, while ambition is important, it's also crucial to know when to hold firm.
Right.
And when to compromise. Right. And that's where understanding deal breakers comes in.
Deal breakers are those non-negotiable points, right?
Exactly. It's like drawing a line in the sand and saying, this is where I stand.
Yeah.
If you can't meet these terms, we're walking away.
So identifying those deal breakers early on can really save a lot of headaches down the line.
Absolutely. It can prevent you from wasting time and energy on deals that just aren't going to work out in the long run.
But even when you've, clearly defined your boundaries, there's always going to be pressure to cave in, right? And that's when you need to stick to your guns.
Sometimes you have to stand firm in your convictions,
Yeah.
even when others disagree.
Yeah,
It's about trusting your gut,
right.
knowing your worth, and not letting yourself be swayed by pressure tactics.
It's like that moment when, say, an investor tries to lowball you on a valuation,
Yeah.
but you politely but firmly hold your ground, knowing that you and your company deserve a fair deal.
It takes courage to stick to your guns,
Hmm.
but it's often the key to achieving a successful outcome.
And wouldn't it be great if all negotiations were smooth sailing, leading to a perfect meeting of the minds?
Ah, the elusive meeting of the minds.
Right.
It's that magical moment when everyone involved comes to a mutual understanding
Right.
and agreement.
It's like all the puzzle pieces suddenly clicking into place, creating a clear path forward.
Exactly. But achieving a true meeting of the minds often requires patient, active listening and a willingness to see things from different perspectives.
I imagine that can be especially challenging when you're working with people from different backgrounds,
Understood.
industries, or even cultures, right?
You're right. Sometimes you might feel like a fish out of water when you're navigating a new environment
Yeah.
or dealing with unfamiliar customs.
It's that feeling of being, out of your element, a little bit lost, and maybe even a bit awkward.
But remember,
Mm-hmm.
everyone feels that way at times, right?
Right.
The key is to embrace the learning process,
Yeah.
Ask questions, observe, and gradually gain confidence as you adjust to the new surroundings.
And let's not forget the power of a clear call to action.
Right.
In the business world, you need to be able to inspire people to take action.
A strong call to action is like a roadmap that guides your audience toward a specific goal,
Yeah.
whether it's making a purchase, signing up for a newsletter,
Right.
or attending an event.
It's that compelling message that says, here's what we want you to do, and here's why it's in your best interest to do it.
Exactly. A well-crafted call to action can make all the difference in driving conversions
Right.
and achieving your business objectives.
No, I've been in meetings where someone just seems lost in thought,
Oh, yeah.
and you're dying to know what's going on in their head. In those moments, you might be tempted to say, a penny for your thoughts.
It's such a gentle way of inviting someone to share what's on their mind
Yeah.
without putting them on the spot.
It can be a great way to break the ice, encourage open communication, and gain valuable insights. Yeah.
Absolutely. And speaking of building trust in business, nothing beats being on the up and up.
On the up and up signifies honesty, transparency,
Yeah.
and ethical conduct.
It's the foundation of any successful business relationship.
It's about doing business with integrity, keeping your promises, and treating everyone fairly.
When you're collaborating with others, it's crucial that everyone brings something to the table.
I love that idiom. It really captures the idea that everyone has something valuable to contribute, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's knowledge, skills, experience, or a unique perspective.
It's about leveraging the collective strengths of a team to achieve a common goal.
And speaking of teamwork, timing is everything, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You've got to factor in lead time for every stage of a project.
Lead time is all about anticipating delays,
Yeah.
planning ahead, and making sure that everything arrives when it's needed.
It's like that well-choreographed dance where all the elements come together seamlessly at just the right moment.
And sometimes to achieve something truly extraordinary,
Yeah.
we need to make waves.
Making waves, I think of that as like, disrupting the status quo, challenging conventional thinking, and creating a positive ripple effect.
It's about being bold, innovative,
Yeah.
and not being afraid to stand out from the crowd.
But even when you're making waves, you're bound to hit a snag or two along the way.
Obstacles are inevitable in business, right?
Right.
The key is to view them as opportunities for growth and learning.
It's about being resilient,
Yeah.
adaptable, resourceful enough to find solutions, even when things don't go according to plan.
And if something isn't up to scratch,
Meaning it doesn't meet the required standard or
Street.
expectation, right?
it's about maintaining quality control,
Yeah.
providing constructive feedback, and striving for excellence in all aspects of your business.
Now, I know that in the startup world, resources are often limited
Oh, yeah.
and deadlines are tight. Sometimes you're faced with a big ask
Yeah.
or even like a tall order.
Both of those idioms imply that something is challenging
Right.
or difficult to achieve.
Yeah.
It might require a lot of effort, creativity,
Right.
and maybe even a little bit of luck.
It's like that moment when you're pitching to a potential investor and they ask for something that seems almost impossible, but you know you have to find a way to make it happen.
It's those moments that test your limits
Yeah.
and push you to think outside the box.
And sometimes when you're feeling overwhelmed, it's wise to take a step back.
Detaching yourself from the situation, even for a brief moment, can help you gain clarity, perspective,
Yeah.
and a fresh burst of creativity.
It's like hitting the pause button, taking a deep breath, and then approaching the challenge with renewed energy and focus.
And if a project needs to be temporarily shelved, you might put it on the back burner.
It doesn't mean giving up on it altogether.
Right.
Just setting it aside for a later time when you have more bandwidth or resources.
Exactly. It's about prioritizing your tasks,
Right.
focusing on what's most urgent, and knowing when to delegate or delay.
And if you're looking for a competitive edge, sometimes you need to venture off the beaten path.
Off the beaten path suggests exploring unconventional options,
Right.
challenging traditional thinking, and finding creative solutions that others might overlook.
It's like that entrepreneur who finds a niche market that no one else is serving.
Yeah.
Or that company that disrupts an entire industry with like a revolutionary product.
Sometimes the greatest successes come from taking risks
Right.
and venturing into uncharted territory.
But let's be realistic. Not every venture is going to be a guaranteed win.
Right.
Sometimes you have to acknowledge that something is a long shot.
A long shot implies that the odds of success are slim, but the potential reward is high enough to justify the risk.
It's like that startup that's developing like a groundbreaking technology that could change the world, but they face an uphill battle against established competitors and skeptical investors.
It takes a certain kind of courage and determination to pursue a long shot, but those who succeed often reap the greatest rewards.
And remember, every successful entrepreneur had to start somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
They all had to learn the ropes.
Learning the ropes is that essential phase of acquiring knowledge, skills, and experience through observation, mentorship, and hands-on practice.
It's like that, apprenticeship where you learn from the masters, absorbing their wisdom and honing your craft.
Exactly. And as you progress in your business journey, you'll find yourself taking the lead more often.
Taking the lead implies stepping up, taking initiative,
Right.
and guiding others toward a common goal.
It's about inspiring your team, making tough decisions, and being accountable for the outcomes.
But leadership doesn't always mean having all the answers in advance. Sometimes you have to make decisions, off the cuff.
Off the cuff, decisions are made on the spot
Yeah.
without prior planning or preparation.
It's like that unexpected question from an investor or that sudden shift in the market that requires a quick and decisive response.
Thinking on your feet is a valuable skill
Yeah.
in the fast-paced world of business.
And speaking of thinking, we can't forget the importance of thinking outside the box.
Thinking outside the box is about challenging assumptions,
Right.
breaking free from conventional thinking, and coming up with innovative solutions that others might miss.
It's like looking at a problem from a completely different angle.
Yeah.
Finding a fresh perspective that leads to a breakthrough idea.
Sometimes the most brilliant solutions are the ones that seem the most unexpected or unconventional.
Now, I know that not every entrepreneur wants to be in the spotlight.
Right.
Some prefer to operate under the radar.
Under the radar implies working discreetly,
Yeah.
avoiding unnecessary attention, and focusing on getting things done without fanfare.
It's like that stealth startup that's quietly developing a game-changing technology, biding their time until they're ready to make a big splash.
Sometimes the most effective strategies are the ones that are executed quietly and strategically.
But there are also those moments when everything changes dramatically
Oh, yeah.
and it becomes like a whole new ballgame.
A whole new ballgame signifies a significant shift in circumstances,
Right.
often introducing new challenges, opportunities, or rules of engagement.
It's like that moment when your startup goes viral.
Yeah.
And you suddenly have to scale your operations to meet the surge in demand.
Adaptability is key when you're facing a whole new ballgame. You need to be willing to learn, adjust your strategies, and embrace the unknown.
And when you're facing external threats or challenges, it's crucial to close ranks.
Closing ranks means coming together as a united front,
Right.
setting aside differences, and supporting each other through thick and thin.
It's like that moment when your company is facing a public relations crisis and everyone rallies together to protect the brand and its reputation.
Unity and solidarity are essential for weathering storms and emerging stronger on the other side.
But let's be honest, not every trend is worth following.
Oh, for sure.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you see people jumping on the bandwagon without really thinking it through.
Jumping on the bandwagon implies following a trend or joining a movement simply because it's popular,
Yeah.
without necessarily understanding the risks or implications.
It's like that investor who pours money into a hot new industry without doing their due diligence, only to find out later that the hype was all smoke and mirrors.
It's important to be discerning,
Right.
to think critically, and to make sure that any bandwagon you jump on aligns with your long-term goals and values.
And to foster fair competition and innovation,
Yeah.
it's crucial to create a level playing field.
A level playing field implies that everyone has an equal opportunity to succeed,
Right.
regardless of their background, connections, or resources.
It's about creating a system that rewards merit, hard work, and innovation rather than privilege or favoritism.
A level playing field is essential for a healthy and thriving business ecosystem.
And amid all the chaos and distractions of the business world,
Yeah.
it's vital to keep your eyes on the prize.
Keeping your eyes on the prize means staying focused on your ultimate goal,
Right.
even when faced with setbacks, obstacles, or temptations to stray from your path.
It's about having a clear vision of what you want to achieve and using that vision as a guiding force to motivate you through challenging times.
Persistence, determination, and an unwavering belief in your goals are essential for achieving long-term success.
And once you've laid the groundwork and prepared for every eventuality, it's time to get the show on the road.
Getting the show on the road signifies the start of a project or venture,
Yeah.
often after a period of planning and preparation.
It's like that exhilarating moment when the curtain rises, the spotlight shines, and the performance begins.
It's about putting all your hard work into action
Yeah.
and seeing your vision come to life.
And when someone asks for your help or permission, you might respond with like a, gracious, by all means.
By all means, conveys enthusiastic agreement and encouragement,
Yeah.
signaling a willingness to accommodate or assist.
It's like saying, go right ahead. I'm happy to support you in any way I can.
It creates a positive and collaborative atmosphere,
Right.
fostering a spirit of helpfulness and mutual respect.
But let's be real, sometimes we all find ourselves scrambling at the 11th hour.
At the 11th hour refers to the last possible moment before a deadline or event,
Yeah.
often implying a sense of urgency or pressure.
It's like that mad dash to finish a presentation minutes before it's due.
Yeah.
Or that final push to launch a product on schedule.
While it's not always ideal to be working at the 11th hour,
Right.
sometimes it's unavoidable. The key is to stay calm, focused, and efficient to get the job done.
And every now and then you encounter a situation that turns out to be completely different from what you expected. A real horse of a different color.
A horse of a different color signifies an unexpected twist,
Right.
a change in plans, or a situation that requires a completely new approach.
It's like thinking you're dealing with a minor issue,
Yeah.
only to discover that it's a much bigger and more complex problem than you anticipated.
Flexibility and adaptability are essential when you're faced with a horse of a different color. You need to be willing to reassess the situation,
Right.
adjust your strategies, and think on your feet.
And when everyone is facing a shared challenge, you might find comfort in knowing that you're all in the same boat.
In the same boat emphasizes the shared experience of a group of people,
Yeah.
often in a difficult or challenging situation.
It's like that company-wide budget cut that affects every department, creating a sense of solidarity and shared responsibility.
Shared challenges can foster teamwork, communication,
Yeah.
and a sense of community as everyone works together to navigate the rough waters.
To avoid those last-minute scrambles and unexpected twists,
Right.
it's always wise to think ahead.
Thinking ahead involves anticipating potential challenges,
Yeah.
planning for contingencies, and making strategic decisions that position you for success.
It's like that chess player who thinks several moves ahead, anticipating their opponent's strategies and planning their own counter moves.
Foresight, strategic thinking, and a willingness to consider multiple scenarios are essential for long-term success in business.
And remember that classic saying, a rising tide lifts all boats.
This idiom highlights the interconnectedness of a system,
Yeah.
suggesting that positive growth or improvement in one area can benefit everyone involved.
It's like that thriving local economy
Right.
where successful businesses create more jobs, higher wages,
Yeah.
and a better quality of life for the entire community.
A rising tide mentality encourages collaboration, cooperation,
Yeah.
and a focus on the greater good.
And when communication is flowing smoothly, you and your team are on the same wavelength.
On the same wavelength signifies a state of shared understanding,
Yeah.
agreement, and harmony.
It's like that brainstorming session where ideas flow effortlessly, everyone is in sync, and decisions are made quickly and unanimously.
Clear communication, active listening, and a shared vision are essential for achieving that harmonious state.
But even the most high-performing teams sometimes need a shot in the arm to re-energize their efforts.
A shot in the arm refers to anything that provides a boost of energy,
Right.
motivation, or excitement.
It could be like a positive piece of news, a successful product launch,
Yeah.
or even just a team-building activity that reinvigorates everyone's enthusiasm.
Sometimes a little boost is all it takes to reignite the passion and drive that fuels success.
And when it comes to making tough decisions, it's often helpful to focus on the bottom line.
The bottom line refers to the most essential or crucial factor in a situation,
Yeah.
often relating to financial implications or the ultimate outcome.
It's about cutting through the noise, prioritizing what matters most, and making choices that drive tangible results.
A bottom line mentality encourages efficiency,
Yeah.
effectiveness,
Yeah.
and a focus on achieving key objectives.
Now, every now and then, you might need someone to hold the fort while you're away.
Hold the fort means taking temporary responsibility for a task or situation
Yeah.
while someone else is unavailable.
It's like that trusted colleague who covers your responsibilities while you're on vacation, ensuring that everything runs smoothly in your absence.
Reliability, trustworthiness, and a willingness to step up and support the team are qualities of a true fort holder.
And in those non-negotiable situations, you might have to deliver a firm, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it presents a final offer with no room for further negotiation.
It's like drawing a line in the sand and saying, this is my best offer. If you're not willing to accept it, we're done here.
It's a strong tactic, but it should be used sparingly and only when you're prepared to walk away from the deal.
Now, we all know that actions speak louder than words. That's why it's so important to lead by example.
Leading by example means demonstrating the behaviors and values you expect from others through your own actions.
It's about, walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
A leader who embodies integrity, hard work,
Yeah.
and respect inspires their team to follow suit.
And after a long and productive day, it's time to call it a day.
Calling it a day signifies the end of the workday,
Yeah.
a decision to stop working and rest or move on to something else.
It's about recognizing the importance of work-life balance,
Yes.
setting boundaries, and recharging your batteries for the challenges ahead.
A well-rested and rejuvenated mind is a more productive and creative one.
But sometimes in those high-stakes negotiations, you might need to play hardball.
Playing hardball implies using aggressive tactics or a firm stance to achieve your desired outcome.
It's about being assertive,
Yeah.
standing your ground and not backing down easily.
Playing hardball can be effective in certain situations,
Right.
but it's important to use it strategically and ethically.
And every now and then, despite your best efforts, you might find yourself having to go back to square one.
Going back to square one means starting over,
Yeah.
often after a setback or a realization that the initial approach wasn't working.
It can be frustrating to have to retrace your steps, but it's often an opportunity to learn from your mistakes.
Absolutely.
Refine your strategies and come back stronger.
Sometimes the most valuable lessons come from setbacks and failures.
And when you're faced with uncertainty, it's often best to play it by ear.
Playing it by ear means improvising,
Right.
adapting to changing circumstances, and making decisions based on the information available at the moment.
It's like that jazz musician who creates music spontaneously, responding to the energy of the audience and the flow of the music.
Flexibility, adaptability, and a willingness to embrace the unknown are essential for navigating unpredictable situations.
And remember that crucial first step in your business journey, getting a foot in the door.
Getting a foot in the door is about securing that initial opportunity, that entry point that can lead to bigger and better things.
It could be an internship, a volunteer position, or even just a chance to shadow someone in your field.
The key is to demonstrate your potential, build relationships, and create a pathway for future growth.
And to create a culture of open communication and transparency,
Yeah.
it's helpful to have an open door policy.
An open door policy signifies that you're approachable, accessible, and willing to listen to feedback,
Yeah.
suggestions, or concerns from your team.
It's about creating a safe space for honest communication,
Absolutely.
fostering trust and mutual respect.
An open door policy can help to prevent problems from festering
Right.
and allows for early intervention and resolution.
And after a setback or a mistake, it's often helpful to start fresh with a clean slate.
A clean slate signifies a fresh start, a chance to move forward without being weighed down by past errors or negativity.
It's about learning from your mistakes,
Right.
forgiving yourself, and focusing on the possibilities of the future.
A clean slate mentality allows for growth, resilience, and a renewed sense of optimism.
And when you've done all you can to prepare
Yeah.
and strategize, sometimes you just have to let the chips fall where they may.
Let the chips fall where they may means accepting the consequences of your actions, even if the outcome is uncertain or potentially negative.
It's about having the courage to take risks, knowing that you can't control everything, and
Right.
trusting that things will ultimately work out.
Sometimes the best approach is to surrender to the flow of events and let the universe guide you.
And when the time comes to take action, you step up to the plate.
Step up to the plate means taking initiative,
Oh.
embracing responsibility, and rising to the occasion.
It's like that athlete who steps into the batter's box, ready to face the challenge head on.
Stepping up to the plate demonstrates leadership, courage, and a willingness to go above and beyond.
And sometimes to meet those, tight deadlines,
Oh, yeah.
you might have to burn the midnight oil.
Burning the midnight oil means working late into the night, sacrificing sleep to get the job done.
It's not always sustainable, but sometimes it's necessary to put in those extra hours to achieve your goals.
Just make sure to prioritize self-care and avoid burnout.
And remember, it's crucial to avoid putting the cart before the horse.
Putting the cart before the horse means doing things in the wrong order,
Right.
often leading to inefficiency,
Yeah.
confusion, or even disaster.
It's like trying to build a house without a foundation or launching a product before it's properly tested.
Planning, preparation, and a logical approach are essential for achieving success.
And whatever you do, don't sweep anything under the rug.
Sweeping something under the rug means hiding or ignoring a problem,
Yeah.
hoping it will magically disappear.
But unresolved issues tend to fester and grow, often leading to bigger problems down the road.
Transparency, accountability, and a willingness to address problems head-on are essential for building a strong and sustainable business.
And sometimes, finding the right solution can feel like searching for a needle in a haystack.
A needle in a haystack signifies an incredibly difficult or seemingly impossible task.
It's like trying to find a specific piece of information in a massive database.
Yeah.
Or sifting through hundreds of resumes to find the perfect candidate.
Persistence, patience, and a strategic approach are essential for navigating needle-in-a-haystack situations.
And beware of those who appear harmless on the surface,
Oh, wait.
but are actually like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
The wolf in sheep's clothing describes someone who pretends to be trustworthy or friendly,
Right.
but has ulterior motives.
It's like that charming business partner who turns out to be manipulative or deceitful.
Trust your gut, observe carefully,
Yeah.
and do your due diligence to protect yourself from wolves in sheep's clothing.
And when everyone is facing like a similar challenge, you might find comfort in the shared experience knowing that we're all in the same boat.
We're all in the same boat emphasizes the commonality of a situation,
Yeah.
often implying a sense of solidarity or shared responsibility.
It's like that economic downturn that affects businesses across all industries, creating a shared understanding of the challenges ahead.
Shared experiences can foster empathy, collaboration,
Right.
and a sense of community.
And in those moments when a brilliant solution seems to appear out of thin air, you might say, they pulled a rabbit out of a hat.
Pulling a rabbit out of a hat signifies a surprising or unexpected solution,
Yeah.
often achieved through creativity,
Right.
ingenuity, or a stroke of luck.
It's like that moment when a team member comes up with a game-changing idea at the last minute, saving the project from disaster.
Innovation, resourcefulness, and a willingness to think outside the box can often lead to those rabbit out of a hat moments.
And let's not forget that classic saying, money talks.
Money Talks acknowledges the power and influence
Yeah.
of money
Yeah.
in decision-making.
It's a reminder that financial considerations often play a significant role in business decisions.
While money is important,
Right.
it's also crucial to consider ethical implications, long-term sustainability, and the impact on stakeholders.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today. I'm starting to feel like I can speak fluent business jargon now.
You're well on your way. But we're not done yet. There's one more batch of idioms to explore.
Oh, there's more.
And these are some of the most powerful and insightful ones yet.
Bring it on! I'm ready to unlock the final secrets of the business idiom code.
All right, so we're back for the final round of our business idiom deep dive.
I'm ready for it. It's amazing how many of these phrases we use in everyday conversation without really thinking about their deeper meanings.
Yeah, it's like they're hidden in plain sight, shaping how we think and talk about business without us even realizing it.
Okay, so let's jump right in. What have you got for us in this final round?
Well, I thought we'd start with an idiom that really embodies the essence of leadership. Take the lead.
Take the lead. I mean, that one seems pretty straightforward, right?
Well, On the surface, yes. But it's more than just being in charge. It's about setting a clear vision, inspiring your team, and making those tough decisions that shape the company's direction.
So it's not just about bossing people around. It's about guiding them, motivating them.
Exactly. It's about stepping up and taking ownership, even when the stakes are high. But, sometimes even the best leaders have to improvise, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like when an unexpected challenge arises and you don't have time to overthink it.
Exactly. In those moments, you've got to make decisions off the cuff.
Off the cuff. So basically thinking on your feet, right?
Precisely. It's about trusting your instincts, drawing on your experience, and coming up with a solution quickly and decisively. And, sometimes those off-the-cuff decisions turn out to be the best ones.
Because they force you to be creative, to think outside the box.
You got it. Thinking outside the box is all about breaking free from conventional thinking, challenging assumptions, and finding those innovative solutions that others might miss.
It's that willingness to explore uncharted territory, to take risks, and to embrace those aha moments that can lead to breakthroughs. And sometimes that means operating under the radar for a while.
Ah, yes, the element of surprise. Under the radar is all about working discreetly, avoiding unnecessary attention, and maybe even keeping your competitors guessing about your next move. It can be a really effective strategy, especially when you're working on something truly game-changing.
But sometimes the game changes whether you're ready or not, right?
Absolutely. That's when you find yourself in a whole new ballgame.
A whole new ballgame. I imagine that can be a bit daunting, especially for, a startup that's used to operating in a certain way.
It can be,
Yeah.
but it's also an opportunity to adapt, to innovate, and to prove your resilience. It might mean revisiting your strategies, reevaluating your goals, and maybe even pivoting in a completely new direction.
And in those moments of uncertainty and change, it's more important than ever to close ranks with your team, right?
Absolutely. Closing ranks is about coming together as a united front, supporting each other, and focusing on the shared goal, even when things get tough.
It's that sense of camaraderie and shared purpose that can really help a team overcome adversity. But it's also important to be aware of the bandwagon effect, right?
Oh, for sure. Jumping on the bandwagon can be tempting, especially when everyone else seems to be doing it. But it's important to think critically, to assess the risks, and to make sure that the trend aligns with your own goals and values.
So basically, don't just follow the crowd blindly. Do your own due diligence, right?
Exactly. And when it comes to fostering fair competition and innovation, nothing beats a level playing field.
A level playing field implies that everyone has a fair shot at success, regardless of their background, resources, or connections.
Precisely. It's about removing barriers, promoting transparency, and creating an environment where the best ideas and the most deserving individuals can rise to the top.
And to reach those heights, it's crucial to keep your eyes on the prize.
Keeping your eyes on the prize is all about staying focused on your long-term goals, even when faced with distractions, setbacks, or temptations to give up. It's about that unwavering determination that fuels success. And once you've laid the groundwork, assembled your team, and fine-tuned your strategy, it's time to get the show on the road.
Get the show on the road. That's the moment of truth, right? When all the planning and preparation finally turns into action.
Exactly. It's about taking that leap of faith, trusting in your abilities, and letting the world see what you've created. And when someone asks for your help or guidance along the way, you can offer your support with a simple, by all means.
By all means, a subtle but powerful way to show your willingness to help, right?
Absolutely. It creates a positive and collaborative environment where everyone feels valued and empowered. But let's face it, there are times when we all find ourselves scrambling at the 11th hour.
Oh, yeah. Those last-minute crunches when the deadline is looming and the pressure is on.
Exactly. While it's not always ideal to be working at the 11th hour, sometimes it's unavoidable. The key is to stay calm, prioritize tasks, and work efficiently to get everything done on time. And sometimes, you encounter a situation that's completely unexpected, a real horse of a different color.
A horse of a different color, meaning something that throws you off track, right?
Yeah, it's like when a project takes an unexpected turn or when a new challenge emerges that you hadn't anticipated. You have to be adaptable, resourceful, and willing to adjust your approach on the fly.
And in those challenging moments, it can be helpful to remember that we're all in the same boat.
We're all in the same boat. Acknowledges that shared experience, that sense of solidarity that can bring people together in times of adversity. It's a reminder that we're not alone in our struggles, and that by supporting each other, we can overcome any obstacle. And sometimes when a solution appears out of nowhere, you might say, they pulled a rabbit out of a hat.
Ah, yes. The magic of ingenuity and innovation. Pulling a rabbit out of a hat is about finding those creative solutions that seem to defy the odds. It's about thinking outside the box, challenging assumptions, and coming up with those brilliant ideas that can turn a situation around. And finally, let's not forget the age-old adage that money talks.
Money Talks acknowledges the undeniable power of financial resources in the business world. It can open doors, create opportunities, and influence decisions. But it's important to remember that money isn't everything. Ethical conduct, social responsibility, and long-term sustainability are just as important for building a successful and meaningful business.
Well, I think we've officially cracked the code of business idioms.
We've explored a wide range of phrases, from the simple to the complex, and uncovered the hidden meanings that shape how we think and talk about business.
And listener, we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the fascinating world of business English idioms. Remember, language is constantly evolving, so keep your ears open for new phrases that emerge, reflecting the ever-changing dynamics of the business world. And most importantly, don't be afraid to use these idioms in your own conversations. They'll not only make you sound more confident and sophisticated, but they'll also help you navigate the complexities of the business world with greater ease and understanding. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep. Each idiom comes with a little dialogue snippet,
Oh, I see.
so you can actually see how it's used in a sentence. Because let's be honest,
Yeah.
sometimes the textbook meaning is totally different from how people actually say things.
Absolutely, context is key
Yeah,
with these things.
big time. So this resource gives us a peek into the real-world application of these phrases.
Yeah.
Okay, so our mission today is not only to help you sound smarter in meetings, which, let's be real, we all want that,
For sure. Who doesn't?
but also to understand the subtle messages behind these idioms because, knowing what they really mean
Right.
can give you a real edge, right?
Exactly. It's not just about sounding fluent.
Right.
It's about, like, understanding the nuances of business communication.
Absolutely. Okay, let's start with a theme that I think we can all relate to.
Right.
Starting and stopping,
Yeah.
right? We've got classics like, get the ball rolling and hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Now, we all know these mean to start something, but have you noticed how they both kind of emphasize speed?
Yeah, it's like there's a built-in urgency to them.
Right.
Like you're expected to not just start, but to start quickly.
Yeah. It's like even the language itself is pushing you to be a go-getter.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about what you do.
Right.
It's about the energy you bring to it.
Exactly. And it speaks to, I think, a larger cultural value in the business world,
Okay.
where being seen as decisive and action-oriented is so highly prized.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Okay, now, on the flip side of starting, we have call it a day.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we all know what this means.
Yeah.
But in a business context,
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if it kind of goes beyond just ending the workday.
I think it does. I think when you call it a day in a business setting,
Yeah.
you're not just like clocking out. You're often signaling that you've reached like a point of accomplishment.
Oh, interesting.
There's that implication of productivity,
Yeah.
of having achieved something tangible
Right.
before stepping away.
Okay, so it's almost like you're saying, all right, I put in a solid effort today. I'm satisfied with what I've done.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And it ties back to that,
Yeah.
that emphasis on results that we were just talking about.
Totally.
In business, it's not just about the hours you put in.
Right.
It's about what you achieve
Yeah.
during those hours.
It's about outcomes.
Exactly.
So even something as simple as saying, like, let's call it a day, can have these deeper layers of meaning.
Nuances, yeah.
Now, let's talk about a phrase that's a bit heavier. Pull the plug.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah. This idiom is definitely
Definitely more serious, I think.
more serious,
Yes.
right? It signals a decision to, like, stop something entirely,
Right.
usually because it's not working or it's no longer viable.
Mhm.
The example given in the resource is a project
Okay.
that's failing to meet expectations.
Yeah.
Whew.
Tough call.
Yeah, that feeling of having to pull the plug on something that you've, put time and energy into,
Right.
it's never easy.
Not at all.
Have you ever had to do that in your own work?
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. It's never a pleasant experience.
Right.
But sometimes it is.
Yeah.
It is the most logical
Right.
and ultimately the most beneficial decision.
You got to cut your losses.
Yeah, you got to know when to cut your losses.
And when to move on to something more promising.
Exactly.
I think a lot of our listeners can relate to that.
I think so.
Okay, so we've covered starting, stopping,
Yeah.
and now let's move into a theme that's all about being in control.
Okay.
Okay. In the driver's seat.
All right.
This one seems pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, at first glance.
Right. Like being the boss, making the decisions.
Right. In control.
But the source actually uses it in the context of delegating responsibility too.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's like you're giving someone else the keys,
Yeah.
but you're still the one who owns the car.
So it's more about like
Yeah.
having control over the direction things are going.
Yeah, the overall vision.
Even if you're not the one like doing the actual driving.
Mhm.
So it's not just about being a boss, it's about being a leader
Right.
who can empower others.
Exactly. That's a good distinction.
Yeah.
I think.
Now there's another idiom that feels kind of similar.
Okay.
Call the shots.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Is there a subtle difference between that
Nah.
and being in the driver's seat?
I think there is.
Yeah.
Calling the shots, to me, implies slightly more, like, authority.
So it's less about delegating
Yeah, a little.
and more about, well, calling the shots.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're the one making the final calls
Yeah,
on how things are going to play out.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Ooh, that's a good point.
It can be a subtle but
Yeah.
important difference in
Yeah.
how these terms are used.
So even though these idioms seem kind of similar,
Yeah.
they have these like subtle differences
Nuance.
in how they're used and what they really imply about
Yeah.
power and control.
It's all about those power dynamics, you know?
Yeah, exactly. All right, now let's shift gears and talk about a theme that honestly everyone in business and everyone in life has experienced. Setbacks.
Yes.
Right. We've got back to the drawing board
Mhm.
and back to square one.
Yep.
Both kind of imply having to start over,
Right.
but is there a difference in how they're used?
I think so.
Okay.
Back to the drawing board suggests that
Yeah.
while the initial approach maybe didn't work, there's still like a foundation
Okay.
to build on.
So it's like you've got a good concept,
Yeah.
but maybe the execution, some tweaking.
Yeah, some adjustments.
You're not scrapping the whole thing.
Exactly.
Just going back to the drawing board to
Mhm.
make some adjustments.
It's like refining
Yeah.
and iterating.
Now, back to square one feels more drastic.
It does. It does.
Yeah. Like the whole thing just didn't work.
Yeah.
And you're literally starting from scratch.
A clean slate.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, it can be tough.
But I guess even in those moments of like back to square one, there's an opportunity for, you know,
For sure.
a fresh start.
Absolutely.
Like maybe the first idea was good,
Yeah.
but now you've got a chance to come up with something even better.
It's true. Sometimes you have to completely rethink things.
Okay, so even when we're back to the drawing board
Yeah.
or back to square one, we can still find a positive spin.
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about an idiom that's a
Okay.
bit more visual, behind the eight ball.
Oh, I like that one.
This one comes from the world of pool, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So like in pool, if your cue ball is behind the eight ball, it means you're in a difficult position.
Right. At a disadvantage.
Yeah, you're literally blocked.
You can't make your shot.
So in business, it's like when you're facing a challenge.
Yeah. That puts you at a disadvantage. Maybe you've got like a tight deadline, limited resources, or a competitor who's like already got a head start.
They're already ahead of you.
It's like you're stuck.
Yeah.
Like limited options.
It's a good visual, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can really picture it.
Okay. So it's not just about being behind. It's about feeling trapped.
Yeah, like you're boxed in.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out a way out.
All right. Now let's talk about hit a snag.
Okay.
This feels less severe than behind the eight ball, right?
Yeah, I think hit a snag is more about encountering an unexpected obstacle
Okay.
or delay.
So it's like things are moving along smoothly.
Right.
And then, bam,
Exactly.
you hit a snag.
Yep.
Maybe a key piece of equipment breaks down, or a supplier misses a deadline, or, as our source mentions, like there's a software integration issue.
Yeah, something unexpected.
Which, I mean, let's be real, happens all the time. All the time in business, yeah.
It's a good reminder that, you know,
Yeah.
things rarely go exactly according to plan.
That's for sure.
It's about being adaptable and finding solutions.
And staying flexible.
Okay, so hitting a snag is inevitable,
Right.
but it doesn't have to be a disaster.
No.
Now, speaking of hitting snags, sometimes the opposite happens.
Yeah.
And we manage to close the deal, which brings us to our next theme,
Right.
success and achievement.
Okay.
close the deal.
It's a great feeling, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
The source mentions like weeks of negotiating leading up to the close,
Right.
which really emphasizes that tension and relief that comes with
Yeah.
finally sealing the deal.
For sure.
Like all that hard work has paid off.
Yeah, exactly.
And it highlights like the importance of persistence and resilience in business.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to keep going.
You know, I think a lot of people,
Especially like those new to business might think that
right?
closing the deal is just about winning,
Yeah,
but it's really more than that, right?
I think it is. Yeah,
It's about like creating a mutually beneficial agreement.
it's about finding common ground.
Right. Which brings us to another great idiom.
Oh yeah, which one?
Win-win situation.
Oh yes,
That one's-
win-win. This one emphasizes collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, it's not about one side winning and the other losing.
Exactly.
It's about, like you said, mutually beneficial.
Everyone comes out ahead.
And it shows that, you know,
Yeah.
relationships are important
Absolutely.
in business.
So it's not just about like closing the deal.
Yeah,
It's about closing the deal in a way that leaves everyone feeling good
exactly.
about the outcome.
It's about building trust
Yeah.
for future interactions.
Okay, now let's talk about an idiom
Yeah.
that's a bit more metaphorical.
All right.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
Oh, I like that one. This is a powerful metaphor, right?
It is.
For like the interconnectedness of business and the
Yeah.
idea that
Yeah.
when the overall economy is strong,
Mm-hmm.
everyone benefits.
We're all in the same boat.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like you're not just focused on
Yeah.
your own little boat.
right.
You're recognizing that. Like the success of the whole fleet
Uh-huh.
depends on a healthy tide.
Yeah, it's a good metaphor for...
Yeah. So it's about thinking beyond
Mm-hmm.
just your own individual gain
Right.
and considering the bigger picture.
Thinking about the collective good.
So a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
Encourages us to think about, you know, the collective good, whether
Right.
it's the overall economy or like the health of a specific company.
Right. It can work on multiple levels.
It's a reminder that we're all in this together.
And that's a great point to
Yeah.
pause for now.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground
We have.
from starting and stopping
Mm.
to navigating setbacks and celebrating success.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind.
And we've only just begun.
I know. Stay tuned because in part 2, we're going even deeper.
We're going to unpack even more of these fascinating idioms.
And you're not going to want to miss it.
Not at all.
All right, we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
You know, that rising tide idea really got me thinking about company culture.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, if everyone feels supported
Mm-hmm.
and valued,
Mm-hmm.
they're all going to, like, row a little harder.
It's true. A positive work environment can make a huge difference.
Right. Okay, ready to dive back into these idioms.
Always. Let's do it.
All right, let's talk about thinking and communication.
Okay?
I feel like this is where things can get really tricky in business.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Communication is key, right?
Yeah, like a simple misunderstanding
Oh, absolutely.
can lead to like
Mm-hmm.
major problems.
Huge problem.
Deadline. So many headaches.
So many headaches.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with a phrase that seems simple,
Right.
but is actually so important on the same page.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's good for teamwork,
Mm-hmm.
but our source uses it for contracts too.
Oh, that's a good point.
Right.
It's like legally binding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it goes beyond just like
Right.
casual agreement.
Yeah, it's more formal.
It's about like a shared understanding,
Mm.
an alignment of expectations.
It's like, are we all seeing this the same way?
Yeah. Whether it's between colleagues or like
Mhm.
departments
Right. Or even companies.
or even companies.
did a big contract.
So it's not just about agreeing on the what, it's
Mhm.
about agreeing on the how
Yeah.
and the why.
Exactly. It's the whole picture.
I think a lot of listeners have probably been in situations where
Yeah.
like maybe they thought they were on the same page
Right.
as someone, but then it turned out they weren't.
Totally. That happens all the time.
And that can lead to so many
Yeah.
headaches.
Miscommunications, missed deadlines,
Oh, yeah.
frustration. All right. So on the same page is about clarity
Uh-huh.
and alignment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's talk about an idiom that everyone loves to throw around, maybe a little too much.
Uh-huh.
Think outside the box.
The classic.
Okay, I know it's a bit cliche,
Yeah.
but I'm curious, what makes this phrase so enduring in the business world?
I think it speaks to that desire for innovation,
Right.
to be creative.
So it's not just about being creative, it's about being strategically creative.
Absolutely.
Right.
Finding those unique solutions.
It's like anyone can think differently.
Yeah.
But thinking outside the box in business means thinking differently in a way that actually solves a problem or creates an opportunity.
They're not just about being different for the sake of being different.
Exactly.
It has to have a purpose.
It's about pushing boundaries, but in a purposeful way.
With intention.
Now, speaking of pushing boundaries, for our listeners who are, always on the go, always trying to maximize their time.
Yeah, the busy bees.
There's a phrase that I think they'll appreciate. Cut to the chase.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all busy people, right?
Absolutely.
No time for beating around the bush.
Get to the point.
The source uses it in the context of, getting to the cost of something, which, let's face it, is usually what everyone wants to know.
Right. Bottom line.
In a business deal.
For sure.
Right. But cutting to the chase can also be applied more broadly.
Right. It's about getting to the heart of the matter.
Okay.
Like, what's the key information here?
Skip the small talk.
Exactly.
Get down to business.
I like it.
Okay, now, this next theme is where things get really interesting. Hidden meanings.
Ooh, intriguing.
Right. I feel like these are the idioms that can really trip people up.
Yeah, especially if you're not familiar with the, unspoken rules.
Especially if you're new to the business world.
Totally.
Okay, so let's start with behind the scenes.
Okay.
This one always makes me think of, all the things that are happening that we never see.
Right, like the behind closed doors stuff.
Right, the decisions being made, the power dynamics,
inner workings.
all the stuff that influences what happens on the surface.
Yeah, like the tip of the iceberg.
Right. So it's like you might be presented with, a decision or a policy.
Right.
But there's a whole backstory.
Yeah, a whole narrative.
That led up to that point.
You don't always see the whole picture.
And understanding that backstory can give you, a lot of insight into how things really work.
Absolutely. It's about reading between the lines.
Okay. So behind the scenes is about recognizing that there's more to the story than what's being explicitly stated.
It's the subtext.
Now let's talk about under the radar. This one feels a bit more intentional. Right.
It does.
Like there's a deliberate effort
Yeah.
to keep something hidden.
Like you're trying to avoid attention.
Yeah. Or low profile.
I see what you mean.
The example our source uses is a project that's going well, quote unquote, quietly.
Interesting.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to just keep your head down, get things done.
Get done.
Without making a big fuss.
Right. Fly under the radar.
But it can also be a bit risky, right?
It can.
If no one knows what you're doing, they might not appreciate.
Yeah, you might not get the credit.
Your contributions.
Exactly.
It's a strategic decision.
It is, yeah.
Sometimes it's better to fly under the radar, and sometimes it's better to, make some noise.
Right. Toot your own horn a little bit. Okay, so we've got behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And under the radar, both reminding us that there's more to business than what we see on the surface.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's always more to the story.
Now let's shift gears and talk about a theme that can be both exciting and nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Risk and uncertainty.
Oh, yeah. That comes with the territory.
Right.
In business, you're always taking risks.
This is an inherent part of business.
I think so.
Every decision carries some level of risk, and there are always unknowns to navigate.
You never know what's going to happen next.
And I think one of the most relatable idioms in this category is up in the air.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, who hasn't felt that sense of limbo?
The waiting game.
Of waiting for a decision that's out of your control.
Totally.
The source uses the example of an international expansion decision.
Wow, yeah, that's a big one.
That's a big one.
High stakes.
And I think what makes up in the air so frustrating is that feeling of powerlessness.
You're just
stuck waiting.
Not knowing what's going to happen.
And wondering.
Yeah.
And it's hard to plan.
Right, you can't move forward.
Or move forward when you don't know.
Exactly, it's paralyzed.
You know what the outcome is going to be.
Uncertainty can be tough.
Okay, so up in the air is all about embracing the unknown.
Being comfortable with not knowing.
Now, let's talk about one of the most classic pieces of business advice. Put all your eggs in one basket.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
This idiom is like a warning, right? Against concentrating all your resources.
Right. Don't put all your bets on one horse.
Or efforts into a single venture.
Spread the risk?
The source uses the example of
Yeah.
relying on a single supplier, which makes me think about all the supply chain disruptions
Very relevant these days.
that we've seen recently.
Right. It's a good example of what can happen.
That's a real-world example of how putting all your eggs in one basket can backfire.
It could be a disaster.
So it's about spreading your bets, hedging your risks,
diversifying.
making sure you're not overly dependent
Right. Don't put all your faith in one thing.
on any one thing.
Okay, now, for our listeners who are feeling,
Yeah.
a little more adventurous,
A little more willing to take a gamble.
take a risk.
We have a long shot.
Oh, I like that one.
This idiom describes something that has
Yeah.
a low probability of success.
Right, but a potentially high reward.
But a potentially high reward.
If it works out.
If it does pay off.
Yeah.
The source mentions
Okay.
getting approval on short notice,
I see.
which is something,
Yeah, we've all been there.
a lot of us can relate to.
Trying to get that last minute sign off.
It's like, I know it's a long shot, but what do I have to lose?
Sometimes you just got to go for it.
That entrepreneurial spirit.
Right, that willingness to take a chance.
Even if the odds aren't in your favor,
You never know.
and even if it doesn't pan out, the experience itself can be valuable.
Yeah, it's a learning opportunity.
So it's not always about winning.
Right.
It's about
Yeah.
learning and growing,
Exactly.
even if you take a few risks along the way.
That's the entrepreneurial mindset.
All right, we've covered so much ground in this segment.
We have.
We talked about the importance of being on the same page, the value of thinking outside the box,
Yeah.
the hidden meanings of behind the scenes and under the radar,
Right.
and the excitement
Yeah.
and uncertainty
The thrill of the unknown.
of risk.
And we still got more to come.
Honestly, I'm feeling so much more confident about navigating the business world after talking about all these idioms.
Me too.
It's amazing how much they reveal
Right.
about the way things really work.
Yeah, they're like little windows.
Yeah. And what's exciting is that we've only just scratched the surface.
It's true. There's always more to learn.
Okay, so our source actually has a whole bunch of other idioms that didn't quite fit into our neat little themes.
I know, there are so many.
But they're still super relevant to, the daily grind of business.
The ins and outs of working life.
Yeah.
For sure.
Learn the ropes.
Ah, yes. The classic.
We've all been the newbie at some point.
Oh, absolutely. We've all been there.
Right. Trying to figure out how things really work.
Yeah. Not just what's in the handbook.
Not just the official version.
Right. The unwritten
The
rules.
source mentions learning a new system,
Okay.
which I'm sure a lot of our listeners are dealing with right now.
Absolutely. Technology is always changing.
Always changing.
New programs, new platforms.
I feel like learn the ropes goes beyond just technical skills too.
For sure. It's about the culture.
It's about understanding
Yeah.
the unspoken rules.
The nuances.
Right. The company culture, the little things.
The things that aren't said out loud.
That makes such a big difference.
Exactly.
In how you navigate the workplace.
It's how do things actually get done around here?
Yeah. Okay, so learning the ropes is an ongoing journey.
It's a process for sure.
Not a one-time event.
They're always learning.
Now let's talk about an idiom
Okay.
that seems simple,
All right.
but it's so crucial for maintaining those all important relationships in business.
I know what you're going to say.
Touch base.
The classic touch base.
It's such a casual phrase.
Right, but it's so important.
But it really highlights the
Yeah.
importance of communication.
Staying connected.
Checking in.
Yeah, keeping those lines of communication open.
With colleagues, clients, supervisors.
Anyone you're working with, basically.
It's you're not just waiting for them to reach out to you.
Right.
You're taking the initiative.
Be proactive.
Yeah. To stay connected.
Yeah, it shows you're engaged.
And make sure everyone's on the same page.
It can prevent so many problems.
Right. It's about keeping those lines of communication open.
And flowing.
And flowing.
Like a well-oiled machine.
I feel like touch base can also be a good way to build rapport.
For sure, just a quick check-in.
Right.
Shows you care.
You're thinking of someone.
Yeah.
You're invested.
You're there to support them.
Okay, speaking of successful communication, how about hit the nail on the head.
Ooh, I like that one.
This one's all about
Mhm.
getting to the heart of the matter.
Identifying the key issue.
Right,
thing.
you've just, nailed it.
You got it exactly right.
And it's so satisfying.
It is.
When you or someone else,
Right when someone just nails it.
really hits the nail on the head
Yeah.
in, a meeting
Right.
or a brainstorming session.
A presentation.
Yeah.
It's like, yes.
It's like a light bulb moment.
That's exactly what we needed.
And what's interesting is that it can be used to, both acknowledge your own insights and to, recognize the contributions
Yeah, to give credit where credit is due.
of others.
It's a good way to acknowledge someone's good idea.
Okay, so it's not just about
Mm-hmm.
being right.
Right.
It's about
Yeah.
recognizing
Mm-hmm.
and appreciating
Yeah, showing appreciation.
when someone else,
Yeah.
brings that clarity
Brings that insight.
to a situation.
I think that's a really important point.
So, listener,
Yeah.
as we've been unpacking all these idioms,
Mm-hmm.
has there been one
Yeah.
that's really resonated with you?
One that's really stood out.
Maybe one that,
Yeah.
perfectly describes your current work situation
Your day-to-day.
or, a challenge you're
Yeah.
facing.
Or maybe one you've heard
Yeah,
that you suddenly understand
in a new way.
in a new light.
It's amazing how these
Right.
seemingly simple phrases
Yeah. These little idioms.
can hold so much
So much meaning.
wisdom and insight.
Yeah, they're packed with wisdom.
So, listener, as you go forth into the world of business,
Mm.
armed with your newfound Idiom knowledge,
Your secret weapon.
remember,
Yeah.
it's not just about,
Right.
sounding impressive.
It's not just about the words themselves.
It's about understanding
Yeah.
the subtle message of
Nuances.
using them strategically, right?
Yeah. And using them
Mm-hmm.
strategically
And your advantage
to enhance your communication,
to achieve your goals.
to navigate the business world.
Keep learning,
Yeah.
keep exploring,
Keep that curiosity going.
and keep those business idioms flowing.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.